Championship edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. The Astros are not done, according to Jim Crane. The Astros won't let a cold winter meetings be cold. They're going to heat things up. They're going to be talking to Contreras. And another Houston Astro was announced as a member of the World Baseball Classic Team USA. Rule 5 draft talk tonight. So you know what, Eric? Let's get this party started right now. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you on this cold evening?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
Well, they do call it hot stove season for a reason, and it seems like with the winter meetings around the corner that maybe the deals are going to start getting hotter. Maybe we'll see some more trades, something going on. I mean, the Rays signed a pitcher today, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Make sure you keep on subscribing and give us a thumbs up, and go ahead and listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. So I know that we have a lot to talk about, but I kind of want to lead off with something, Brett, but Jon Heyman earlier today kind of threw off the fact that it seems like he's saying that it's between the Astros and the Dodgers for Justin Verlander. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but this is kind of what he had to say. He said, one executive said that if he doesn't stay with the Astros, he'll probably go with the Dodgers. But also, somebody else said that the Astros and Verlander weren't even close on getting a deal done. So it's kind of like, well, it's between these two teams, but then the Astros aren't even close. So it makes you wonder what's going on there.
Well, you know, it's funny. I would have seen that tweet, but Jon Heyman has me blocked because I've called him out many times on his hate for the Houston Astros. So I'm glad you shared that information with me because I am closed out of the Jon Heyman world. So, Mr. Heyman, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I don't enjoy your tweets anyways. But seriously, sorry.
Hey, 1 second. He did say that the favorites, though, are the Dodgers and the Mets and Yankees.
Yeah, look, the Astros are not moving. The Astros are at 36 million. Justin Verlander is going to have to come to them. Like, Justin Verlander is going to have to adjust his asking price. They're not going to 40 million. So that's not going to happen. But before I get too deep into that, since we're talking about an ace, and later on we'll talk about DeGrom and stuff like that. But today, Gaylord Perry, one of the 300-game winners, a legend, passed away at 84. Eric, Gaylord Perry was an amazing pitcher. He was a two-time Cy Young winner. He used his creative pitching arsenal to win those 314 games. He struck out 3,534 batters over a 22-year Hall of Fame career. I had the pleasure of meeting him when I was a kid at a baseball card show. Got his autograph. One of the nicest human beings that I've ever met. So it was a pleasure to see highlight footage of him. I saw him late in his career. And, you know, we just want to send condolences to his family. Rest in peace. And thank you, Mr. Perry, for the memories. And for this Justin Verlander stuff, you know, just to kind of dovetail into something else, but still talk about this. What if the Mets come out and get him? Because there was a conversation being had. And I know, I honestly think it's the Dodgers or the Mets. I think it's the Dodgers, Mets, and maybe the Astros. Again, because I think Verlander's asking price. And I think the Cy Young, the comeback player, how strong he was, how he felt at the end of the season. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like the asking price in the market is going to be inflated. I mean, you look in New York, they're offering Aaron Judge 37.5 million
Right.
per year for 8 years. So what's going to happen is you're going to see these prices get set. You're going to see these people set these prices. Then Dodgers and the Mets love to spend money. Now, let's say the Dodgers or the Mets don't offer right at 40 million. I think it would be worth Justin Verlander taking a $2 million pay cut and going down to 36. But it might be that third year, Eric, and the Dodgers are notorious for 2 to 3 year deals and high AAVs. They
Right.
will do that. So I think there are a lot of fans, though. I think the consensus I'm getting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is thank you, Justin Verlander. It was nice, but we don't want to pay you 40 million.
I think that a lot of people are still like you mentioned Wilson Contreras. A lot of people would like to add him. They would like to add another bat to the lineup. And as much as we would love to have Justin Verlander in the rotation, the Astros are pretty deep. They are six strong in the rotation right now. And you have JP France. And I really think that they're probably going to add another veteran starter before spring training to kind of be another depth option, because you can never have it, especially if you don't bring back Justin Verlander. But whoever you're going to sign, it's not going to be for $40 million. It may be a $5 million, just somebody to maybe throw like every, like maybe 100 innings this season as needed. But I think the Astros rotation is good enough and
Oh
the
yeah,
bullpen's good enough. There's not really a need in the rotation. There's not really a need in the bullpen. It would be nice to have Justin Verlander, especially if you want to win 106 games. But the Astros struggled offensively at times last year. And that's what Jim Crane is trying to fix right now. He's trying to upgrade offensively.
that's right. And we're gonna get into that, and we're gonna get into those things later on in the show because we definitely have some topics to talk about. But the World Baseball Classic is coming up, Eric, and I want to ask you your opinion on this because not only is Kyle Tucker playing, but now one Ryan Presley, the elite closer, the Mister Perfect in the postseason, is going to be going for this team. And when you look across the board of the teams they play, Cuba, the Dominican, Venezuela, all these Latin American teams, boy, do they post strong teams. And I mean, every once in a while, Canada's got players in the major leagues that
Right.
they also got decent players. You got Will Smith, Pete Alonso, to name a few, Trey Turner, Mookie Betts. You've got a slew. Trevor Story, Mike Trout is the captain, Cedric Mullins, and Bryce Harper, which I don't think Bryce Harper will be playing because he is having Tommy
Right.
John surgery. But Eric, what do you think about the World Baseball Classic? Do you like it? Is it fun? Is it one of those baseball competitions that you're excited about? Or are you concerned that one of your best players, Kyle Tucker, and one of your best pitchers, Ryan Presley, is out there throwing in this thing?
Well, I think it's as big as the World Cup. I mean, I think that people around the globe, they just line up and they go watch the World Baseball Classic. No, I don't think they do, but it does mean something for these countries. It does
Yeah.
mean something for the players to go out there and win. I mean, we see how strong a passion uh, people are supporting Team USA, Team Saudi Arabia, what all those teams out there. They're really passionate about that, and that's what whoever's from Venezuela, they're going to be supporting Jose Altuve out there. So yes, it is some type of concern. Well, Altuve's out there. What if he hurts himself? Then you're going to be without that. And then Presley, he was such a dominating closer for the Astros last year. What happens if he throws the ball wrong and he has to have some type of surgery or something? Yeah, that's always a risk. But I think in that situation, they talk to the teams, they talk to the managers and say, okay, how often do you want us to use Ryan Presley? Um, how many warm up pitches? They kind of get an idea on how to
Yeah.
use the players. So I think that they really get a good it's basically like getting a loaner, a loaner of a car, and you've got to know you're basically signing off on the car, and if the car comes back damaged, I'm sure they won't sue you, but they'll be really mad and they won't give you another loaner next time around.
Exactly. You know, I almost thought you were going to lead into to one of our auto parts sponsors. I was like, wait, is this a lead in for Rock Auto? But I'm joking. Um, we got that out of the way. I agree with you. I like it. I enjoy it. I think baseball fans enjoy it, especially if you're from these countries. If you're from Puerto Rico, if you're from the Dominican, I mean, it is your time to shine. If you're from Cuba, and it's great. It's great to see people that are here in America that have immigrated to this country, and they get to celebrate their culture and everything like that. But here are some key dates that are happening this winter. I'm gonna talk about these key dates right now. December 4th, you have the Hall of Fame Contemporary Era ballot. Albert Bell, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy, Rafael Palmeiro, and Kurt Schilling, some controversial names. And then December 5th, the All MLB team will be announced on Monday.
Right.
Okay, we got some Astros up for that. Then December 6th, the inaugural draft lottery, AL and NL relievers of the year announced. It's a busy time, Eric. December 7th, the Rule 5 draft.
Hey,
Yeah.
you forgot something. You forgot December 3rd. Something very special happens on December 3rd.
Oh,
That's my
Eric's
birthday.
birthday. Oh,
That's not important in
no,
MLB
Eric's
baseball?
birthday.
Come
That's
on.
right. Eric's going to be
Just kidding.
28 years old. Eric's going to be 28 December 3rd. That's right, man. You
All
know
right, get
what?
back to you.
I'm sorry. You're right. December 3rd, Eric's birthday. December 4th. Let me roll it back. Hall of Fame Contemporary Era ballot. I know, but seriously, this is
Right.
a really big week for baseball, and this is really before things get heated up with the winter meetings. And the Astros, Eric, are going to be like in hot pursuit, not of just free agents, but possibly trades. I'm going to throw out a reason why I think trades are possible. So here's the thing. Bet Online is a place you need to go. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all at betonline.net. I mean, go look at the odds. I mean, the USA is the USA are the underdogs versus the Netherlands. Go see what the plus is on them. You might want to put your money where your mouth is as a USA fan, because you know what? You can get a good return. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those there as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Go bet on who's going to be all MLB. Go look at prop bets. Go look at the NFL and so many more. Just realize that Bet Online is where the game starts.
All right, so I'm a little torn there because my dad's from the Netherlands and Huysman,
Oh.
that is Dutch, and I currently live in USA. So which team do I root for? So,
Well, I think you have the right to root for who you want to, but I think being born here
right, I know.
and being here your whole life, it is okay for you to cheer for both teams, but you really should cheer for USA. They need all the help they can get. So, Eric, what I want to do real quick is I want to explain the Rule 5 draft, because we've had some people actually ask us to explain the Rule 5 draft to them. And so I figured I would do that. Just kind of give you a real just quick summary of it, because not everybody understands it, okay? Um Basically, the Rule 5 draft allows clubs without a full 40-man roster to select certain non 40-man players from other clubs. They draft in reverse order of the standings from the previous season. So, players signed at age 18 or younger need to be added to their club's 40-man roster within 5 seasons, or they become
Right.
eligible for the Rule 5 draft. So, players who signed at age 19 or older are protected within 4 seasons. Now, here's some of the kickers. Not every club will make a selection, but those who pick a player must pay $100,000 to the club they get the player from. And the Rule 5 picks are assigned directly to the drafting club's 26-man roster and must be placed on outright waivers in order to be removed by the 26-man roster. Should the player clear waivers, he must be offered back to his previous team for $50,000 and can be outrighted to the minors only if the original club does not wish to reacquire him. And the last thing, clubs may trade a player selected in the Rule 5 draft, but the same restrictions apply to players' new organization. However, a club may also work a trade with the Rule 5 pick's original club to acquire his full rights, thereby allowing him to be optioned to the minors under traditional circumstances. Now, what is the Astros Rule 5 state right now, Eric?
They ain't making a selection. They do not. They ain't got the roster space. I don't know why I'm saying ain't, but they do not have a roster space because they are looking to add free agents, and I believe they are at 36 at the moment. I could be wrong,
I
but
believe that's correct.
so they have 4 roster spots available, and they've already decided not to protect Corey Julks. He is the guy that I know that pitchers are normally picked in the Rule 5 draft because it's a lot easier to kind of throw a pitcher at the back end of the bullpen. Oh, we can go ahead and bring in Brett Chancey, our Rule 5 pick, to go ahead and we're down 20-0. So we might as well just go and pitch Brett.
Thanks. What
So,
am I, top liver? Come on.
but the Astros do have some players they could lose. I think Corey Julks is the most likely one to go. Jaden Murray, he's a guy that James Click traded for with Trey Mancini. He's got a lot of potential, and
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe since Click is no longer in office, maybe the current front office did not see the value in him. But also number 17 prospect Christian Gonzalez is a guy that can go, but he's young. I believe he's like 19 or 20 or something, and
Yeah.
he hasn't really shown a lot of hitting ability yet, but he's a slick fielder, and a lot of people think that he's going to be a great player someday. But a team is not going to add a player that could be great someday. They want a player that should be great now. And
Right.
so that's why you see 76% of teams go out there and draft a pitcher, a major league ready pitcher, because it's a lot easier to stick them at the back of the bullpen. So, Greg Kessinger is another one. Alex Degatti. I thought Alex Degatti was released. Yeah. So I think this list is off. So some names on this list is off, but definitely there's some names that the Astros can lose. But I
Right.
think that Corey Julks,
Well, it says,
he's a 5-tool player.
yeah. So, to
Potential.
note, to reemphasize, Corey Julks he's not one of their top 15, but he made it into their top 30. Jaden Murray was their 12th ranked prospect, where, and I'm sorry, he was their 17th ranked prospect. No, Julks is number 12. Luke Berryhill was another guy. And then Christian Gonzalez was top 20. Look, the reason why we mention that is because they're having to shuffle the deck. They don't have this great grand farm system, but they do have a development system. They do know how to develop players. And Eric, there are 3 guys that we need to tell the people that they need to watch for in 2023. It's their number 4 prospect, Pedro Leon.
Mm-hmm.
It's their number 11 prospect, Justin Dearden. I think I totally butchered his name last show. And then their number 20 prospect, Sean Dubin. Sean Dubin's a friend of the show. And, that kid ended up having surgery last year, but he was throwing darts, dude. He was throwing over 100. Speaking of throwing 100, did you see the video that Chris Castellani posted from Justin Verlander's, one of his first 2 years in the major leagues? And he struck out 3 batters, and I think he threw 7 to 10 pitches that were 100 miles an hour plus. He was, in the announcer's like, man, Justin Verlander's angry. He threw 102, 2 pitches in a row. But that's the kind of firepower that we've seen from Dubin. If he can stay injury free and he can take a step forward, you may see him making moves. And like I said, later on, when we talk about some other things, there's some names that some people are talking about. The Astros may have a surplus in a certain area where they could offer some names for a trade if need be.
Yeah. So this segment is brought to you by Locked On Sports Today. And we want to go ahead and kind of look at some of the prospects who could, I know you already talked about David Hensley, but David Hensley is somebody that somebody asked. Light just got in my eye, but can Hensley play outfield? Yes, he played left field, I believe, a little bit.
Everywhere.
Yeah, he can play everywhere, and Hensley is not going to be locked in at one position. That's something that James Click made very clear before he was not renewed. And so I think that they're not going to pigeonhole him there. So definitely that's something to look for. So I know that we're looking at what's next for the Astros. I know that you can't rely on David Hensley to be a DH, not right now. Yainer Diaz, you can't rely on him to be a DH unless you have to. So I still think that there's a move in the works. I don't know if it's wait till Michael Brantley's ready. Andrew Benintendi is kind of the hot name, but the Astros are literally going to be sitting down at during the winter meetings with Wilson Contreras,
Face to face.
who's going to be sitting down with the Chicago Cubs, Christian Vasquez. So it would be kind of weird that there's if they switch catchers in a way. And so I know that Christian Vasquez would be a cheaper option for the Astros. Hey, don't you want to win another World Series, Christian Vasquez? But
Well,
I think the Astros want the offense, and they're not looking for another catcher. They have
no,
they want offense.
no, right, exactly, and that's the thing with Christian Vasquez, because I see a lot of people saying, why don't we get Christian Vasquez? Why don't we get Christian Vasquez? Because Martin Maldonado is going to be the main catcher next year, whether you accept that as a truth or not. That is the absolute truth. Put my hand on a Bible, and I'm just saying, like, he is going to be the catcher. If Wilson Contreras signs with the Astros, he will not be a catcher, Eric, right? He's going to be a left fielder and a DH.
But he
He is
may
not going
catch
to
every once in a while. Emergency catcher.
well, every once in a while. That's the
Right.
key. Christian Vasquez wants a leading role. Christian Vasquez is a starting catcher, and he still has enough tread on his tire to where he deserves to go out and get that. So
Okay. Hey,
Vasquez,
Brett, hold on. I don't think they're gonna be doing a burial of Contreras's glove like they did of Carlos Beltran's glove. Remember in
who said
27?
that? Yeah. Oh.
You
You
remember?
mean like a? Oh, you mean like acting like his catcher's glove is dead?
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is they are, all indications tell us, because the talking heads that we are at their
Right.
behest. We are at, because we don't have these inside sources like they do. But
Right.
that's what they say the concentration from the Astros is. And he makes sense now. Michael Brantley still makes the most sense staying in Houston.
He's
He's
left-handed hitter.
not he's not going to get a big contract. He's not probably going to start on opening day because he's going to be rehabbing his shoulder still. He's probably not going to be at full strength. And he likes the atmosphere here. He is the kind of cerebral baseball player that would come back to the Astros because of the environment, because of what has been built here. And he won his first World Series ring with the Houston Astros because he wasn't here in 17. And no, Contreras will DH. Contreras will
Yeah.
come here to be a DH and to be a left fielder. Him and Jordan will be an interchangeable left field DH duo. That's a pretty strong duo, Eric.
Right. And I do want to add something. Jeff Bagwell the other day after the press conference that when Jose Abreu signed, he did say that they would like to have Alvarez in left field 45 to like 50% of the time. They don't want him out there all the time. They know he's a lot more productive playing left field, playing in the outfield, playing just in the field in general. But they also want to give him rest off the knee, just make sure he stays healthy for a whole season. So that's why you may see Wilson Contreras play in left field. He hasn't played left field since his rookie season with the Cubs. So, yes, that may be a little bit dicey, but Alvarez has never played left field before he started playing left field. So, who knows what happens? And that's what spring training is for. Hey, Contreras, go out there. If you mess up, you mess up. But during the regular season, you better not mess up.
So if they get Contreras, because this is what I think people might be wondering, there would be no reason to get Benintendi because Benintendi's not playing center field. He doesn't have the arm for it. Benintendi's not playing right. You got Kyle Tucker. You got Chas McCormick. So the only reason you get Benintendi or the only reason you look at Corey Dickerson, or the only reason why you look at any other left-handed bat, is because Contreras doesn't come here. But Contreras is
Right.
a right-hander. Contreras isn't a left-hander.
I know.
So
So
he's
yeah,
on the
if they want the
left-handed bat.
lefty, they're going to have to get an outfielder, and that means Alvarez would likely have to play a lot more DH.
Now, hard question, real talk though. Do you sign Contreras and Brantley?
Yes,
But now you have
especially if you're not
three
bringing
people.
Gurriel back. I mean, you want somebody on your bench. Do you remember the playoffs? Do you remember when we had
But
nobody coming off the bench?
Michael Brantley hates being coming off the bench, right?
Well,
Michael
yeah.
Brantley. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Is that going to be too much for one position? I think
Mm,
it's so. So if you bring back Contreras, are you still bringing back Brantley?
I still think so. I think
Really?
because it
Okay.
gives the lefty, and Brantley is probably at the age where he's not going to play a lot, and he may play. I mean, I see what you're saying because he's not going to play
Yeah.
a lot of outfield. And so you'd have 2 DHs. So I see where you're going with that.
You would
And
have
so if they
you would have
bring in
three.
Contreras, then maybe he would have to do a little bit more catching. So
The
yeah,
Astros would employ the first triple three-headed monster left field DH: Contreras, Alvarez, and Brantley. I'm just saying, if they want Contreras, I can see them
yeah,
not bringing back Brantley.
yeah, I can
If
see that.
they bring in Contreras, in the Yuli thing, I really don't see them signing Yuli. I think Yuli's going to want to get close to his market value, and I think he may get that somewhere like Miami. I mean, who knows? I mean, Yuli could. I mean, well, I guess no, he wouldn't go to Toronto because they already had that place taken by Vlad Guerrero Jr. But I'm just wondering what other clubs would sign him. Here's my question though: if clubs aren't interested in signing him per se, does he just retire and the Astros say, "Hey, here's a services contract. Why don't you come to work for us?"
I don't know if he still wants to play baseball, he may go overseas. He may do something. If he still has the itch to play baseball, because he did show something in the playoffs,
Oh no,
teams
he
did
did.
recognize. So
No, he did. He did. And his hitting, can he is this one of his cuz he seems to have an on year off year on year. Is next year's on year. And if we let him go to Miami, does he heat up and compete for another batting title and say, "Screw you, Houston, I'm still good."
yeah.
But Abreu is the guy.
So
And
if he's asking for this and teams are only willing to give him this, they'll find middle ground. Just and Yuli will accept a little bit less to play baseball and to stay to and I don't know if he'll be okay with a platoon role or something. That I think that's the reason why he hasn't re-signed with the Astros, is because he wanted a starting role. But the Astros at this point in his career, after seeing what he did all regular season, yes, he did great in the playoffs, and I wish he did that all regular season. But he was a liability in the regular season, and so I think the Astros just made the decision: let's pay for Jose Abreu, and let's get a little bit younger guy, and they're going to be paying him until basically Yuli's age right now.
so here's the thing. They are showing interest in another name, in Michael Conforto. You and I talked about this, and I think you were more advocating for it than I was. So you were kind of on that before me. Um, they are in a wait and see approach with Brantley, but I think the whole league is in a wait and see approach with Brantley. Conforto, basically, he had surgery and everything, but before that, he was like 232, 344, 384 with 14 home runs, 55 RBIs in 2021. And so Conforto, Eric, could be a budget Terry type move where you get a solid
DH.
player. If he comes back, do a
DH.
DH. Well, but is
He
he still in that state? Because
I
I
think
think the
he
Astros. Well, here's the thing: his name's being mentioned alongside Brentley. I think since he's been further removed from that,
okay.
that's all I'm saying. That's what the banter is among the talking heads. And I kind of teased it earlier. The reason why I said the Astros may have some trade pieces, and maybe this doesn't happen now, but maybe at the trade deadline if they need it, they've got a wealth of relief pitching depth. They've got Seth Martinez, Phil Maton, Blake Taylor, Parker Mashinsky. They've got these guys. Remember, they were even trying to shop Jose Urquidy. They could still shop Jose Urquidy at some point. I think he's the most expendable guy on this roster because he is a strike thrower. Because it's weird, like his value isn't super high, but he's super valuable, I think, to a team. And so those are guys that could move at some point. This is what I think. Jim Crane is going for broke, like I said last show. Jim Crane is not going to hold back on spending. And this is what I would like. I would like for Jim Crane to bust through the CBT. I want to see it happen. It's not my money. So, hey, Jim, go
Justin
spend that
Verlander.
money. Yeah, just make it rain. Make it rain in the club, Crane. Make it rain, Crane. That's what we'll do. Make shirts. I'm joking.
Hey, I do want to address some of the comments in the chat. Some
Yeah.
people are like, Don is asking, has anybody asked Contreras if he wants to play left field for the Astros? And then Cheyenne says, are you guys trying to say that Contreras won't catch at all? So I think the reports is that they are looking at Contreras as a left fielder, as a DH. That's what the reports say. The Astros value, let me back up. Dusty Baker values a defensive catcher. Wilson Contreras is not a defensive catcher.
He's not a very he's a major league catcher.
Right.
He has that, but
So,
he's not very good defensively if you look at his defensive metrics. So, and yeah, you know, Corey Lee, I think, is a guy that they're going to invest more time in. I
right.
don't know that Diaz is really in the mix, but Corey is the true backup. Jules, Eric, our friend from Australia, is in the show hanging out with us, and she says as long as he can hold a bat, Brantley can get on base more often than every guy we have signed this postseason. Hey, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, Eric. But I think that's where the Astros are a wait and see. His injury and his time frame, I think, favor the Astros because Brantley's not a guy to pick up and move. His family's established. Everything I hear from people close to the team, he loves it in Houston. They love it
Right.
here. He has established a home. So there's so many things that can happen in these winter meetings. Eric, there may
Right.
be things that are going to happen that you or I haven't even thought of.
Right.
The fact that Justin Verlander could be a New York Met and the fact that Jacob deGrom could randomly become a Houston Astro and the Houston Astros and the Mets swap aces, kind of like, you know, I've seen Brian McTaggart mention that in a recent article. Like we could swap aces with that team.
Right.
There's just so many things that can happen.
Right.
And Eric, we could spend an hour on each segment of this team and still not get to the bottom of everything we have
Right.
because I think 2023 is going to be another great year.
All right. So I still didn't get a chance to finish answering Don's question. He
Oh, my
said,
bad. I'm sorry.
has anybody asked Contreras if he wants to play left field? Okay. If Contreras does not want to play left field for the Houston Astros, he does not have to sign with the Houston Astros.
That's right.
He is a free agent. And prior to trade deadline, he said he was open to a position change to go play for a winner. So, yes. So, Don, so Nightingale said that he wants to be a part-time catcher. Okay. I'm sure he wants to be a part-time catcher. But if he comes to Houston, I don't think Dusty Baker's gonna have him be a like the backup catcher. Maldonado will be a catcher. I'm not saying he's not going to ever start. I think that he will get some starts. I'm opposite of Brett here. I think he will get some starts at catcher. I just don't think he's going to be the backup. They are grooming Corey Lee to be the backup. He's a good defender. He hasn't really hit that well in the big leagues, but we can continue this conversation in another show. But I just wanted to address if he doesn't want to play left field for the Houston Astros or be the DH, he doesn't have to sign. He doesn't have to take Jim Crane's money because Jim Crane is going to make it rain.
Yeah, he's going to make it rain. Yeah. And I think just to make sure we characterize Jules' comments properly, I think what she was saying was she had seen on Twitter where Bob Nightingale had said that the Astros had mentioned him being a part-time catcher. But we saw Christian Vasquez being a part-time catcher, and we'll look into that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, and you know, I trust Jules. She's not gonna feed us bad information here on the show. She was just relaying what she had seen on Twitter. Bob Nightingale is right about half the time. Ken Rosenthal was trying to go full Bob Nightingale the other day. You got Zach Eflin signed a massive contract with the Rays. I think they probably overpaid him a little bit, but he's trying to get back to that. And then Dorothy McGrew says right here before we leave, Ben Verlander announced it yesterday that JV is deciding between two teams, the Astros and the Dodgers. And I think the Dodgers is the most likely team that he goes to if he's not an Astro. I just think the Mets are in there just because Steve Cohen is Steve Cohen and he likes to spend. And if they don't get DeGrom back, they're going to absolutely make full charge at Justin Verlander. Doesn't mean he'll sign there, but I think it's a possibility. So, the other day, look, we hear things on here and we appreciate you guys interacting with us on the show. And that's why if you're listening, you need to check out our live show on YouTube because you get to get your thoughts in here. We don't know it all. We have a great fan base. You guys are smart as whips, and we appreciate the knowledge and the back and forth. So thank y'all so much for making us your first listen every day, and make sure that you make your second listen Locked On Sports because they have the latest news, the biggest headlines that you want to hear today, and the take of the day. Check them out on Odyssey, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Eric, any last words before we go?
I was just looking at Ken Rosenthal's article, What I'm Hearing, and somebody sent it to me, and I guess it was just about Justin Verlander. And he's just kind of saying what Justin Verlander would be kind of wanting, and would Andrew Fryman give him the money he wants? And so it's still kind of a question mark, but there's nothing in here technically about the Astros. So that's what I was doing right there. But somebody just sent that to me during the show. But that's what we do. We get instant news and give our live reaction on the show. And we'll be back again on Sunday to kind of give a preview for the winter meetings. And it's going to be super exciting. Who are the Astros going to lose in a Rule 5 draft? What is Contreras going to really sign with the Astros? What starting pitcher could they add? So much to talk about. So let's go ahead and end the show on a positive note and hope that the Astros will win the World Series in 2023. Go Astros.